You are now listening to Sanity at the Movies, Jake's Takes edition. That's right, folks. You are going to hear Jake's take on Top Gun. And then it's also going to give me and Ben an opportunity to revisit Top Gun Maverick, the film, not just of the summer, but of the year, the movie that saved cinema. As they declared, it's made lots and lots of money, and everybody loves it, and they're so happy that something that's not a Marvel property can make money.
Movie of the decade.
The movie of the decade, yeah. It's getting all kinds of accolades, and as always, the conservatives have claimed it as some kind of victory for conservatism because... I don't know why. Because Tom Cruise is a man, I guess, and his fake son is a man, and it's vaguely sort of 90s woke instead of 2000 woke. So what a victory for humanity.
Oh, yeah.
But speaking of victories for humanity, there was a day where I was born. And my name is Nathan Aaron Alberson. I am the humble and obedient host. That's what I am. And another victory for humanity was the day that Benjamin J. Sulzer was born. The preacher who's a teacher of cinema.
Hello.
And probably the greatest victory for humanity, an almost like John Connor level event, was when this third gentleman that you're about to introduce was born.
Jake Menzel, pastor who's a master of cinema.
There he is.
That's me.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right, Jake. You saw Top Gun.
I saw Top Gun.
Which we had at least one person say, I turned off the podcast when I found out Jake wasn't on it. Because they didn't think it was worth hearing Top Gun thoughts from just me and Ben.
I wouldn't think it was worth hearing Top Gun thoughts from you guys either.
Well,
Sheesh.
yeah, I wasn't going to say anything, but that person was Jake. Not true. Jake, your Top Gun, Jake's take.
That is the best movie of the year. It was great. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
There you go.
I won't tolerate any slander of it. It's awesome.
I don't know why we would slander it. I wasn't slandering it.
Yeah, you were... Your whole framing for the whole thing was like, well, conservatives hate or love this because they're stupid, and everybody else likes it because they're stupid, but also...
And then I said hi-ho and sipped my little Lipton tea or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. There's like backhanded slander in the framing, so I'm just going to say I won't even tolerate that. I think it's great.
All right, let me reframe. Waka waka! America! Top Gun!
That's much better. That's much better. I appreciate that kind of framing.
Respect.
Because that's how I feel in my little Jake heart.
The 80s.
It's just like, yeah, I love the movie.
Did you cry?
I did, yeah.
They would cry.
Yeah, I didn't want to, but then... And I thought it was stupid, but I mean, the movie is stupid.
Did you cry at the very beginning when he put on his sunglasses and got on the motorcycle?
No,
and we heard
but
Danger Zone?
I had like when they opened it up with an almost frame by frame replica of the opening sequence of the original Top Gun.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, I think I was laughing. I think I laughed my way.
You had to know they were going to do that.
I did know they were going to do that, and I loved every second of it, and that is why I was laughing. I sat there laughing because I thought, I knew they were going to do this. It is the cheesiest, most fan service-y thing in the whole world, and they're letting me know exactly from the outset what this movie is. This movie is cheesy fan service from the get-go, and they're not going to apologize for it, and I... guess I'm here for it. Like, I love it. Like, I think this is hilarious and awesome, and I am so happy. And that's just kind of the way that I watched the whole movie, with this is sort of like dopey, half sincere and half cynical grin on my face. Because I just was like, they decided to make a movie that was really fun fan service for the kinds of people who grew up with this first movie, and they didn't care, and I don't care. I'm just here for it. I'm here for fun because Hollywood has stopped being fun. And the choice to every attempt at fan service has been so stupid. Like,
We got John Krasinski to play Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's just like, guys, just be sincerely fun, please. Be sincere in your fan service.
I guess one could argue that's the spider thing.
Into the spider.
No, not that.
I know.
Yeah, one could argue that's good. But the one with the Spider-Men from the different...
No Way Home.
Made that attempt. Yeah, you could, but...
They were just really crummy at it. But
yeah, they just didn't do a good job with it. That's all. And this was just like, they just stacked up a bunch of fun moments, and they only overplayed their hand a couple of times, and they moved on so quickly from it that...
Let me guess. Great Balls of Fire.
Great Balls of
That's an
Fire,
overplay.
yeah. That was an overplaying of the hand.
I think anytime they showed footage from the original, I could have
It's
done
just
without
bad,
it.
yeah. They should not have done that. and then I thought the whole Penny Benjamin family angle was shoehorned in such a way that it's just like, man, this could have been done better. And
Well, you can't do Kelly McGillis because she's not beautiful anymore. So you can't. I mean, Maverick still has to be some kind of a wish fulfillment. He still has to be a total wish fulfillment figure.
Yeah, but Jennifer Connelly just didn't quite.
But Jake, Labyrinth, not Dark Crystal. Labyrinth. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Of. Labyrinth, and what's the one with the rocket? The rocket. He flies around on a
Rocketeer?
rocket. The Rocketeer. Yeah, and Life is Beautiful and other things.
Yeah, so I guess if you have nostalgia for Jennifer Connelly, then great, and maybe she worked for you, but I don't. So I never saw The Rocketeer, and I just don't care about her.
Ang Lee's the Hulk.
I think you mean A Beautiful Mind. I was just like...
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Life is Beautiful.
Yeah. That's the Robert Benigni.
Yeah, no. No, I have a lot of Jennifer Con nostalgia, so I was there for it.
Okay, so then maybe it worked for more people than just me, but I just didn't buy Penny Benjamin.
Her eyes were dead. It didn't work for me.
She's playing opposite psychopathic Scientologist salesman.
She should be a better actor.
It's called acting, Nathan.
Well, she's probably the oldest broad he's actually ever had in a movie. Because he swapped ladies in the Mission Impossible
And
franchise.
he swapped ladies as part of the plot in one of that director, Joe Krasinski's, whatever that director's name is, earlier movies. Kaczynski, thanks. What was the one? Based on the video game, sci-fi thriller.
Oh, Oblivion, I think.
Oblivion. Yeah, it's part of the plot. He swaps out his older girlfriend for a young one. And the older one dies, and it's just it's really gross.
There's like a really noble reason why he can't be with someone his own age, and instead has to be with a hot 28-year-old.
Oh yeah, there was this one too. It was awful.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, Tom Cruise.
But man, okay, fine. The movie really was bad.
No, but
but
for the first 2/3, I'm like, I don't have a lot of nostalgia. So I'm like, this is okay. But then when John Hamm's like, we can't do it because no one can do the Kessel Run in 10 parsecs, and then Tom Cruise is like, I can do the Kessel Run. But the guy's like, it's Tom Cruise, he's doing it. And John Hamm's like, Then I was like, this is the most awesome movie ever.
Then John Hamm is like, well, I guess I'm left with no alternative but to make you team leader.
It's amazing.
You have to be Luke Skywalker, actually, Tom Cruise.
Now, let me ask you this. I know we're all over the place here, but if you're writing the script, do you actually send the young people in by themselves and then have Tom Cruise have to be Iceman?
No, because I mean, even everything down to this is wish fulfillment, and it is Tom Cruise wish fulfillment. And so what I think the genius of this movie, I think Cruise being the team leader is actually genius, and I think him surviving is genius. I think both of those things are actual acts of genius and not betrayals, because this is Tom Cruise wish fulfillment here. And if you try to make the good movie where he shows up or where he dies and sacrifices himself and ends up dead, part of the wish fulfillment here is we just want more fun movies, and we want Tom Cruise to continue to be our action star avatar, because that's where our nostalgia is, and we don't actually care about these other characters. We came for Tom Cruise, we came for Maverick. That's why it's called Top Gun Maverick and has Tom Cruise's name, and why we have 2 ridiculous intros to the movie still in theaters. They're all like, hey guys, did you know Tom Cruise is in this movie?
here's haggard old Tom Cruise without having just dunked his face in ice water or whatever,
and
he's like,
and
thanks
having
for
some
seeing
CGI.
my movie.
I know, it's like
amazing,
so bad. But let me tell you, I saw this movie on August 26th at 1 p.m. in the Regal Theater of Showplace Cinema, which is still the recliner seats and all the whatever. And there were a dozen other people in the theater at 1 p.m. on a Friday in the middle of August, months after this has been released. And they were all people between 10 and 20 years older than me. And just like, okay, he is their avatar and they want to think they still have it. And he's the one who's given it to them and proven it. And they don't want to come out of this movie sad. They want to come out happy. And they want to come out like, hey, maybe we'll get another one. That's another Tom Cruise joint. Like, we're not going to hand this off to Miles Teller.
Right.
Like, we're not going to hand it off to whoever the dude that played Hangman, fake Iceman is.
Although I really like that guy.
He was pretty fun. He hammed that sucker up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a lot of fun.
He just like leaned into that role super hard.
I wish somebody would build a franchise around that. I mean, and I know we don't reduce swaggering males anymore, but that guy as like the new Maverick, I'd watch that guy.
Yeah. So I just
Glenn Powell,
yes.
I just thought, yeah, just let him do the thing. Just let him do the thing. Let's put him in charge and let him do the stupid thing.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I mourn for civilization, but
yeah, I mean,
agree.
Okay, fine. Like an actual good movie would have done things differently. But this movie said from the very opening credits, you're not here for a good movie. You're here for a fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to unapologetically be that and give you just fun, nostalgia, fan service that is, in fact, going to be satisfying from the first to the last. That's what you came for. That's what nobody else wants to give you. And so that's what we're going to give you.
Okay,
and that's all we care about.
But Bozo the Clown's listening right now.
Yeah.
And he's like, Jake, that's what the Marvel movies do. You guys are always like, these aren't real movies, and they're not intended to be real movies, okay? Like, they're never intended to be real movies. They're just a fun time at the cinema with a bunch of fun scenes, and you guys...
Except they stopped being fun, like, 5 years ago or 7 years ago. I mean, when's the last time you had fun watching a Marvel movie?
Right. Well, this movie actually does...
Even the fan service-y Spider-Verse movie with our guys, like bringing Tom Holland back, bringing Tobey Maguire back and Andrew Garfield. Yeah. It's not fun. It's not a fun movie. It's just trying to do too much and not enough. And it was just like, man.
Well, Top Gun Maverick, for all its problems and for all its provocation and all that, it does have a story. It's a very simple, use the Force, Luke.
Yeah.
Reconnect with your son. I mean, it barely makes sense. It barely tracks. It barely has anything
so much
to say.
of it is so absurd.
But there is an A to B to C to D to E to F thing going on. They have a mission. They have to do it. This guy's the hothead, whatever. There's like all that stuff, all those elements. It actually does. It is more of a movie than anything Marvel's done in the entire Phase 4 at the very least. Marvel is just so much truly, here's a grab bag of stuff and we don't even know how it goes together. And there's no kind of character consistency throughout. And there's no kind of moral... I mean, yes, Tom Cruise isn't going to tell us who the bad guys are. There's lots of lame things about this movie, but at least we know they're the bad guys.
Ambiguously Russian bad guys.
Right. Some kind of European, Eastern Bloc European bad guys. The only people left that we can be racist towards and make into our bad guys these days. I mean, you're just making me think you're making me think lots of thoughts about how Marvel sucks, but how much they've miscalculated because... It turns out Gen Xers and people in their 35 to 45 range buy a lot of tickets.
Yeah.
And like to see movies. And I don't think Feige has calculated, at least it doesn't feel like he's calculated, for how much Robert Downey Jr. brought those people in because he is their guy. He's from the same generation as Cruise. It didn't matter what character he was playing or what he was doing. There was a lot of older people that showed up just to see RDJ.
He's the through line.
Yeah,
he's what makes the plot hang together.
Yeah, and he's also tremendously talented.
Yeah, and he's not just dad energy for millennials on down. He is
His bad boy energy.
Bad boy audience avatar energy for Gen X on up.
Right. And he's the guy from Weird Science and from they have identification. They have a relationship with him. They don't have a relationship with Chris Evans. They don't know who Simon
He
Liu
crashed
is.
and came back. He's got his own story.
Yeah.
Of like he burned out, flamed out, and made the comeback. And
I mean, really, when you think about it, it's some of the genius that nobody talks about. I'm just realizing this about the original Iron Man is you've got Robert Downey Jr., you've got early 90s icon Gwyneth Paltrow, and you've got 70s icon Jeff Bridges.
Yep.
The original Iron Man really is designed to bring in older people, or at least it's designed with the sensibility of a wide range of ages in mind, just because Jon Favreau, it turns out, is an older person and likes some of these older stars and has a relationship with them and understands the audience's relationship with them. And that's something that Marvel doesn't do at all. Like, there's just nobody to represent that demographic. There's no reason for a millennial or a Gen Xer to go see a Marvel movie. There's nobody that they're already kind of in dialogue with.
In Favreau does that sort of thing again with The Mandalorian. Well, he brings in, Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
Right. As the guy, but he's wearing all the iconic gear. And then he brings in Carl Weathers opposite of him and a couple other people like that are like, oh yeah, Apollo Creed, that's kind of cool.
Well, and even Werner Herzog, it's like
there's an art film.
Yes.
It's Star Wars also.
There's a little extra point of connection for actual old nerds. Like
history of puppets.
Yes.
You are all puppets watching my movie.
And so it's like, okay, well, we have Tom Cruise and he plays that Robert Downey Jr. role, and it's actually about him. It's about him. It's his movie, and he's the guy. He's the star. He's still the star. He still has it. And we're just going to surround him with a sexy supporting cast that's going to remind you of all the things he loved and give some of that verve and youthful energy that the original had, right? Like if we put in a virile over-the-top character like Hangman alongside Miles Teller, who's a great character actor who embodies the ghost of Goose, of Anthony Edwards' Goose. Like, I mean, my goodness, like,
I don't know, he did great.
He was amazing in that role. Like,
yeah, I mean, my only complaint, I would just the equation right now is about 70% Cruise and 30% young people. I think it would be a better movie and just better form, and nicer on Cruise's part if it was 60-40.
Yeah,
give the young people. John Wayne, when he got older, he'd always have some young guy with him in the Cowboys or some of his older movies, and he knew how to. Obviously, John Wayne's always going to be the guy that's going to be cool in any scene, and everyone's like, I'm a gibbering moron, and John Wayne's like, well, I can punch you in the face. But John Wayne gave other people enough to do, and there's a classy way of doing that. And Tom Cruise,
you think he crossed the line a little bit in this one?
I think he could have been more classy.
You're probably right.
He knows what he's doing. I mean, a number of billion-dollar franchise things made by Nathan, zero. Number made by Tom Cruise, many. But
well, in a year when all movie ticket sales are down 30% still across the board over pre-COVID numbers, this movie is climbing up the charts in all-time tickets sold and is top 5 now?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. And nothing has even come close to touching anything pre-COVID since that happened. And some of that's been, all the movies suck and are geared to tip their hats towards wokeness in a way that makes them impossible to enjoy. But I mean, okay, he made a fun movie, and yeah, it's a bad oasis in a desert, but the desert is real and it's been around for a long time now, it feels like. And so, I mean, okay, the other thing that is true about Cruise is he is constantly, I think this is true and maybe inarguable, he's constantly learning and improving on his little formula. And so this was a step outside of the Mission Impossible formula, but I guarantee you he's going to, Fallout was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And this movie was a lot of fun. And the Dead Reckoning stuff is going to be a lot of fun.
I'm sure it is.
And nobody's going to be able to match that level of fun, energy, and excitement that he's able to bring to a franchise anytime soon, because nobody cares. Like, the best that you've got out there is what? Like Keanu Reeves? For the same reasons. With John Wick?
Yeah, John
for
Wick,
all the exact same reasons, but you've got a level of violence that is prohibitive.
Well, and just an R rating in general is prohibitive to ticket sales and to young people connecting with the material.
Yeah, I mean, let's dial down the language and the sexuality from the original Top Gun and try to capture the fun of it while still making it about Tom Cruise. And guess what's going to happen? Well, parents are going to show it to their kids, and the grandparents
I'm sure
are going to be
sales for the
excited.
original Top Gun on streaming and all platforms and Redbox and everything are booming.
Yeah.
He's a smart guy. I mean, I wish with Tom Cruise that I could care about his movies. I know it is an oasis in the desert. I don't want to be churlish about that, but it's something I've always felt about the Mission Impossible franchise too. It's like these movies are so much fun and they're such a great event pictures, and you go and see them and you really enjoy them, but there's just nothing there ever to connect to. It's like, and it's like a Craig Bond, for all their problems, are relatively like, he's playing a character that I understand.
Yeah, that's right.
And that I like and that I want to find out about.
There's a reason I go back to the Craig Bond movies and not to the Mission Impossible movies. Although I would
you can show your kids Mission Impossible.
I can show my kids the Mission Impossible movies. I can't show them Bond. I would look at the Mission Impossible movies and say, they are objectively more fun. Like Fallout is objectively more fun, but I haven't gone back and watched it one time.
It's kind of exhausting because of what Nathan is saying.
Well, yeah, there's nothing to sink your teeth into or to like you said, to connect with, really. And so it is just like a roller coaster ride. And roller coasters are great for the brief time that you're on them, but you can't live on them, or you're going to get sick and throw up. Like,
Jackie Chan used to make movies that had amazing feats of athleticism, and that was the only reason you saw them. They were 90 minutes.
Right.
Now, for whatever reason, I don't really understand it, but the formula, what you're paying for when you go out to see a movie, is 2.5 hours. And that's just the way it is. And Tom Cruise does that. And it makes Mission Impossible and Top Gun and everything like that feel oppressive, because it's just like, you just have to have so much movie.
So much filler, so much It's easier to go back to like a Buster Keaton or a Safety Last.
Yeah, sure.
Just so short.
Yeah, it's like you're not committing as much, or even something like...
Well, it is that like attempt to toe the line of really giving people their money's worth in terms of action. Like, you always saw those movies when you were a kid and said, man, like, I wish that there was more. Like, I wish there was more. And now he's like, I'm going to give it to you, actually. That's what it's like, sort of like that. And this is why I do think, I was joking in our chat, like, there's Spielberg and then there's Cruise, like, in terms of like the saviors of cinema. Like, if Spielberg and Lucas are going to be like, hey, remember those fun B movies that you saw as kids that were like 60 minutes long and had crappy effects, but you loved them and thought they were cool, and we're going to do that, but we're going to actually make them awesome.
That's also the thing we talked about it before, of when you see the original Star Wars, it feels real dark and scary. You go back to as an adult, it's not that dark and scary. But then they smartly make the new ones darker and scarier so that they'll feel, you could argue whether it's smart, but it's effective in terms of actually capturing more of the feeling for old people, because it feels as dark. I think you watch New Hope as a little kid, it feels like it goes on forever. It feels so big. You watch it as an adult, you're like, oh, this is an hour 45, whatever it is. Tom Cruise is like, I'm going to make a thing that has the feeling of New Hope, so it's going to have to be 220 or 230
exactly,
or whatever it is
in terms of action. And when you're in the theaters, it does. And I think as a theater experience, it's successful for exactly that reason. Like, I just sat there and like enjoyed myself, but I did leave thinking, asking the question that you always want to ask yourself: would I go back and see this again? Do I want to see this again? Do I need to see this again? Would I be interested in seeing this again? And the answer was like, no, not really. No, I don't want to go through that 2.5 hour experience again. Actually, I can't. I'm just not like, I'm satisfied.
Right.
I am.
You paid your money. I got what I paid for, and that's it.
Yep.
You know, the other comment I will make, perhaps it's a bit sexist of me, but I think roller coasters work well for women because women in general don't care about movies that much. Like they actually, a lot of women I know, not every woman, but a lot of women resent the emotional investment that a really great movie takes, but they do enjoy just having fun. And so a movie that's just fun, they'll be like, yay, that was really fun. And I never have to think about it again, which is exactly what I would have wanted from anything that you threw on. And I don't know. Maybe that sounds insulting, but women are probably the smart ones. I don't know. And not every woman's like that. If you're a woman that likes movies, that's great. Well,
presumably, if there are women listening to this, it's exactly what they're like. Mm-hmm. They like movies.
Yeah. Maybe they just like great podcasts. What else is there to say about Top Gun? I mean, me and Ben already did an episode where we talked a lot about Bruckheimer and Simpson and all that stuff. But
Tony Scott,
yeah.
I mean, the plot of this movie is so funny. Oh, we have to bring in Tom Cruise, the test pilot, because the only plane that's capable of doing this precisely engineered scenario is the one that he's in. And they happen to have the F-14s from the original Top Gun movie just sitting there randomly. And we have to throw Goose's son in, and we have to and he's going to save him, but now he's going to save him. And now they're stuck together, and Maverick's going to fly with the ghost of Goose in the F-14, and it's going to be amazing. And then the guy that we set up to save everybody in the end and show up is actually going to do it. Yay! Like everything about it was like, it's so contrived, and I didn't care.
Well, what I like is that they're taking the time to lay all those pieces in. What I don't like is this. I don't like the Haldo maneuver where we just suddenly can do something with our spaceship that we never knew we could do. And I don't like J.J. Abrams in the next Star Wars movie being like, yeah, there's a bunch of science that made it so we could do the Haldo maneuver once, but now we can't do it. What I actually like is having somebody just be like, here's a boring explanation that doesn't really matter, and I'm going to go on for a little bit, and I'm going to give you the feeling that it's important. And then John Hamm being like, yes, it is important that the boring explanation is established. Like, in other words, it is all contrived. It's all stupid. If you think about it for a second, it's a house of cards that collapses. But part of the fun is laying all those pieces in. So it's like, well, yeah, of course
we're here to entertain you. You know how this works. Come with me.
Yeah, it's like,
but they actually did. You're right. They did the work of laying all the pipe that they needed to, and
the pipe is all stupid, but
plausibility in every little moment that you can go along with it. Yeah, you can't stop and examine it,
right?
But you can. Oh yeah, well, I can see why any dumb nondescript base of the nondescript country and the nondescript location might have any amount of like old janky American hand-me-downs that managed to get their way overseas because of underground smuggling, whatever. And I guess the situation calls for this or that. And okay, well,
yeah. No, I think that pipe. I used to be a sort of snotty person, and maybe you can find podcasts where I do this, but the consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds. I will say to excuse everything that I do. But there are things where, I used to say like, why do we have to, and it is still true sometimes, like, why do we have to have this? We know it doesn't matter. We know we're all in an agreement here that we want to get to the action scene. So why are you boring us with the stuff? But the older I get, the more I'm like, well, actually part of the fun is the stuff. Like you want the cheesy explanation. You want, it's like refusing the call. I always hated refusing the call, that part of the hero's journey where the guy's like, I'm not going to go on the journey. I don't want to be a hero.
We all know you're going to go on the journey. We all know that's the point of the movie. There wouldn't be a movie if you didn't go on the journey.
I've seen the trailer, dude. I know you fight the bad guy at the end, which means you must, and some really movies will have really perfunctory, like, Chris Pratt's not going to help with the dinosaur problem this time. But I've gotten to the point where it's like, yeah, there are bad, boring ways to write refusing the call. But you know what? It actually feels somehow more satisfying if you just hit that beat. So
yeah, hit it sincerely. And it enriches the whole story experience.
Right. I mean, I guess if the choice is between nothing and a bad, boring version, maybe there is a place for nothing. And maybe that's what I've said on other podcasts or in other conversations. The best version is just do it and
just
do it.
Hit the beats.
Do a halfway decent job. I mean, John Hamm is a good example of this. He's such a perfunctory character. It's such a boring, like the authority figure there to not like Maverick.
The second authority figure, because we had to have Ed Harris.
That's
in there
right.
First.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that. And they're gonna say,
I'm the crusty old man who, for reasons unknown, believes in drones and hates people. Like you, Maverick. You're more of a dinosaur than I am.
oh man, I love when John Hamm gives him the thumbs up at the end. Though,
Yeah, everything about all of it. I just think it's hilarious, and I love it. The thumbs up, all of it is
Top Gun Mission Impossible.
well, I mean, like I said, they said from the beginning, we want to make a fun fan servicey thing that's going to hit all the beats that you know, and we're not going to apologize for it. And they did it by just doing the thing of we're going to frame by frame replicate the introduction or the opening scenes of the original Top Gun, but we're doing it in 8K or IMAX level quality this time.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that cool? And then we're just going to non sequitur, right? The original one transitions to now we're on the carrier and we have a situation on the carrier, right? Like they took off and now we know that now we've got the carrier and we got an international situation happening and we are getting our pilots up in the air. This time, nope, we just did the thing. And now we're going out to the desert for some reason while Tom Cruise is going to put on his jacket and grab his aviator glasses and get on his whip the tarp off his motorcycle. And
it was fun.
That's like, that whole O sequence is actually a perfect example of good story contrivance, because they're like, if Tom Cruise doesn't get the thing to 10 parsecs, we'll all lose our jobs for some reason. Tom Cruise is like, I can't do it. No, wait, for the people.
Yeah.
it's so contrived, but you want that. It's better to have that than to have.
Well, and it actually does a good job of establishing character. We thought we had closure with the original Top Gun movie. We thought he was able to finally let go of Goose. He threw the dog tags off the carrier into the ocean. You know, it went through the whole thing of, can he engage? Will he re-engage? Will he come in? Will he save the day? Yes, he can. Yes, he did. He and Ice are reconciled. He's the hero. He's going to be a Top Gun instructor. He's free to take Goose's dog tags instead of holding them tight and talk to me, Goose. He's going to throw him into the ocean, right? We had closure. He was healed. He was going to finally he eclipsed the ghost of his dad, which was a big part of the original Top Gun movie, and then he managed to get past the ghost of Goose, and so now here we are. And who is he now? Actually, turns out those wounds never really got healed. And we're going to even have the dumb exposition. We're going to bring in Val Kilmer, and he's going to sit there and say, I don't know how to let go, actually. And so, but that whole opening scene of like, he's still a Maverick, man. He still lives up to his call sign. It's him and his people. And it kind of, in that sense, makes it the story of Tom Cruise, which is what all these movies inevitably are.
Yes. Yeah, except for the real story of the real Tom Cruise is the story of a guy who accidentally exposed what a complete sociopath he was to people, almost lost his popularity, and then battened down the hatches and never revealed another ounce of his personality to
not even
anyone
in his movies
ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the legend, the myth making,
yes,
the story as he wants it told and as he's intent on telling it is the one that he keeps telling over and over again, and that's the story that he basically tells us.
Yeah, I actually really like 90s Tom Cruise a lot. I never was a Tom Cruise hater. I was never a Brad Pitt hater either. I always thought they were both super talented and awesome, and I liked the trajectory of the kind of thing that Tom Cruise was trying to do, where he'd do one for them and then one for me. He'd do a Mission Impossible and then he'd do a Magnolia, or he'd do some exciting indie film and really try and stretch and do something interesting.
What would the last one of those have been? Collateral?
Yeah,
Collateral kind of actually is both.
Yeah,
Collateral's both.
Collateral's great, and Collateral's both.
It's an amazing Tom Cruise performance.
But I think around that time, I mean, when did YouTube hit? 2013? I don't know. I want to say. I mean, Tom Cruise was one of the first internet memes with him jumping over the couch. I mean, we've talked about this before, but...
Well, you look back on it, and it's actually... I mean, it's not bad. It's not as bad as... Something's happening to my mic, isn't it? Maybe not. Okay. Sorry. It sounded like, at least in my headphones, maybe...
Huh. I'm not hearing anything.
Like I was cutting in and out there for a second.
Well, let's keep paying attention for it, but I think...
What he actually does isn't that bad. He's playing to a crowd. And
No, I don't actually think Tom Cruise did anything wrong in that particular moment. It's just one of those
timing
things...
conspired against him.
Timing, the internet turned against him, and... I think what the reason everybody was so primed to turn against him is because he did always have the energy of somebody who was hiding something. Because he's a crazy Scientologist who's incredibly oppressive to women. I highly recommend the documentary.
And we're ready to take people down too, and use the internet to do it. Like that was part of it. That was part of the energy of that time.
I mean, I don't usually like all the true crime cult kind of documentaries and stuff. I think they're pretty cheesy and pandering. HBO has a good documentary called Going Clear on L. Ron Hubbard and Scientology and Tom Cruise's part in all of that I think is well sourced and has the receipts and everything. And I mean, Tom Cruise is a monster. he just is weird religious nut for a weird science fiction cult that has provided him lots of women and lots of opportunities, and for whom he has shilled for many, many years and been part of a very nasty, oppressive system. And so Tom Cruise, I think everybody could always kind of sense that. He had the energy of somebody who was a politician, of somebody who was hiding something, of somebody who was like, hey, guys, I'm great. And was doing that precisely because he didn't actually feel like that's what he was. And so everybody was kind of primed to turn on him in a way that I can't think of an actor analogy. I can think of politician, like a Bill Clinton or there are people who just simply seem like they're very charming and lying to you.
Well, there was, around the same time, people were going after Brad Pitt. They were going after Ben Affleck. They were going after Leo.
Yeah, I guess that was
right.
Gigi and all that. Yeah.
So there was just sort of like can we use the internet to take down these icons that have been force fed to us over the last 10 to 15, 20 years?
Yeah, and Tom Cruise got the rockiest road of any of those people and came out on top.
Yeah, in a sense, like he's not allowed to be in, right? He's like,
I mean, he has his own director, he's just created basically his own thing,
right? He's a weird outsider, but he's one. So
yeah, I don't know. It's too bad you can't be Paul Thomas Anderson and be like, I want to have Tom Cruise in my movie because I think he could do a good in this part. That sort of thing doesn't happen. And I'm more than that because I think Tom Cruise was a great star and a great actor, but he is not anymore. So he's just Tom Cruise, the icon. So Tom Cruise, what a guy. What a guy.
Yeah.
I don't know, like The Firm. Even his Popular Entertainments used to have, he used to play an interesting, he always played the same, like, I'm a go-getter that doesn't know whether he's going to sell his soul out. And yeah. A Few Good Men is, Aaron Sorkin sucks. Like, the ending of that movie is so bad. I know that's a hot take because people love You Can't Handle the Truth and all that, but it's so stupid, folks. I'm just going to say it. They're like, you know what? Let's trick Jack Nicholson into behaving like an absolute idiot and selling himself down the river. And then they're like, hey, Jack Nicholson, you're dumb. And he's like, I'm an idiot. I'll sell myself down the river. You can have him do that, but you cannot have the characters say, our plan is to get him to do that. What you need to do is have Tom Cruise be like, nothing worked. What's my last ditch? Okay, I'll try and make Jack Nicholson really mad. But their plan can't be to make Jack Nicholson mad. That's stupid. That's bad writing.
I've forgotten how it all works.
It's a very entertaining movie. Lots of great Aaron Sorkin dialogue and stuff. But man, what a stupid plot point that is. I can't stand it. It makes me angry to even think about it. But Tom Cruise is great in that movie.
He's awesome.
He's good.
And there are fun little touches to the character carrying around the baseball bat.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah.
Stuff that makes for iconography. Stuff that he's always been good at, either finding the right roles or bringing those right touches to that sort of thing.
And the original, I don't love it, but the original Brian De Palma Mission Impossible, it kind of feels like Ethan Hunt is actually going to be a character.
Oh, yeah.
And then by Mission Impossible 2, it's like, nope, he's going to be a guy with sunglasses.
And then by Mission Impossible 3, you're like, he's a really soulful, interesting No, wait, hold on. That didn't work at all. It's garbage.
Yeah, Mission Impossible.
J.J. Abrams.
I actually think...
No, Ethan Hunt in the original Mission Impossible. I mean, that's just like not part of the franchise.
No, it works. He feels like a character.
Own movie, and he's his own character.
Yeah, it's an actual...
It's
comes close to actually being a spy thriller.
I like that movie.
I do too.
I haven't really watched it since I was a kid, and I never really understood it when I was a kid. But
I loved it as a kid.
I did too.
I mean, I liked it. Yeah. It had that feeling of intrigue and darkness, and all his friends die and all that. It was cool. And obviously the set pieces were great. The helicopter and the lowering the set pieces.
I remember my dad being really conflicted about it, loving the movie but hating the betrayal of Mr. Phelps.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a mean trick they play with the original franchise, although I never have watched a single episode of the original franchise, so I don't care.
I didn't care either.
But that would be like if you had Sean Connery play the bad guy in your new James Bond movie or something like that. That's
like, hey,
that's not
you
nice.
Have to be a jerk.
What you would have to do is have Sean Connery play James Bond.
That's right.
Right, exactly.
And then turn out to be the bad guy, and now we have a new 007, and her name is Jamie Sunshine or whatever.
Yeah, it's like the guy that we've actually followed through all his adventures fighting Goldfinger and all this is now Goldfinger, and that's not a good feeling.
No, it's not. It's a cheap trick.
It's a cheap trick, but
fun movie.
They got masks.
Yeah, that's still one of the worst tricks in all of.
It's tiresome that they have to do it every time. If they just decided they weren't going to do it one time, that might.
They did. Brad Bird's. They start making masks and the mask machine fails. You don't see them the rest. Actually, that's not true. You do have more masks. Bad guy masks.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Yeah, you just think you can't do it without masks.
Never mind.
Yep.
It's got to be in there one way or another.
I like masks.
Yeah, I like masks too. I just think, what's the word? What's the phrase I want? It's not brevity is the soul of wit. Variety is the spice of life. I don't know. There's some phrase like that for a little bit goes a long way kind of phrase.
Maybe it's a little bit goes a long way.
Yeah, but that might be the phrase. A little bit goes a long way.
Yep.
With masks. I would actually say Mission Impossible 3 is the low point of the franchise in terms of rewatchability. I would actually rather watch Mission Impossible 2 than Mission Impossible 3.
Yeah.
Because Mission Impossible 2 is horrible, but it's also bonkers.
Yeah, it's just nuts.
Yeah.
Mission Impossible 3, although it is quite boring. Mission Impossible 2. But Mission Impossible 3 is agonizingly mawkish. Mawkish, I think that's the right word.
Yeah.
For that.
No, his Felicity from the sitcom Felicity got shot. No.
Oh no.
I think the thing to do is to treat Mission Impossible 1 as its own movie.
Yeah, true.
Yep.
Mission Impossible 2 and 3 as if they never existed.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then
4 is the beginning of a fun Tom Cruise
franchise.
That's right.
Exactly.
That is how it feels.
I'd agree, but I would say if you want a gonzo, insane, terrible, bad B movie, then I'll throw 2 back on the board. But 3, there's no reason to have 3 ever be on the board.
Oh man,
maybe there's just 90s nostalgia, like the bad. I think Korn with a K did the Mission Impossible theme cover for Mission Impossible 2. There's just like a lot of terrible 90s decisions that went into that movie. Well, folks, we've deviated from talking about Top Gun because I guess we have nothing else to say about it.
There's so much more to say.
Penny Lane is... You do need Penny Lane. That's an example of something where you're like, well, why do they have to have a girl?
Her name's Penny Benjamin, and she comes up twice in the original.
I know. I think Tom Cruise is always, like so many of these old hotties when they get old, he's always slightly in danger of being an old queen. So you have to have a girl just to prove that he's not. And so if you have to have a girl and you can't do Kelly McGinnis, then having 50-year-old Jen Conley is about the classiest thing that you could possibly do. And de-sexing it as much as they do was a nice business-related move. So I think you could complain all you want about Penny Lane, and you're probably right, but given what they had to work with, it's just about as well calculated as anything else in the movie. I mean, the dumb thing about Penny Lane is the whole bar scene where she's like, my eyes are dead, but I have to play this lame material about making you buy a round because you say stupid things. But I don't know. I thought it was kind of cute that they formed a little family and that fake Goose was like, I wish I was part of the family. I thought it was cute. And my audience got a big kick out of Tom Cruise sneaking out of her bedroom and dropping down, and then the little girl being there. They thought that was hilarious. He thought he was going to get away with it, you see, Jake, but
but he didn't. Yeah.
He didn't. She was right there. Good stuff. Quality, edifying stuff like Hollywood's been making for generations.
Boy. Well, we're waiting till 2023 for the next Mission Impossible. Is that the next? That's the next Tom Cruise thing, right? The next big thing.
Dead Reckoning Part 1. They already have a trailer for it.
I know.
I think the only way you see it is go see Top Gun, though, right?
No.
I saw
it
when it came out.
I thought it was like an IMAX exclusive. Maybe it was for a little bit.
I don't think so, but
maybe no. You know what the IMAX exclusive is? The trailer for Cillian Murphy and Oppenheimer. Nolan. Yeah. What movie was I watching where the Oppenheimer trailer came over? It wasn't Top Gun. It was a different Oppenheimer trailer. And I was watching this movie, and the Oppenheimer trailer came before it. And I was like, this movie's going to rock, because I thought it was actually the movie starting, and it felt really cool. It's like, wow, this movie starts with the world burning? What a great way for this movie to start. And then the real movie started playing. It was terrible, and the world wasn't burning, whatever it was.
Nolan wins again.
Oh, you know what it was? It was Nope. Nope started with an Oppenheimer trailer, and I was like, whoa, this movie is starting, because it's just flames, and I was like, this movie is starting with the world already. And Jordan Peele, you genius, my hat is off to you, sir. And then it was like, by the heck, Christopher Nolan. And I was like, no.
Oh, yeah. He just wins every time.
He wins. He got me again.
Dumb movie trailers.
Hey, I'll be first in line. That's going to be RDJ's big comeback, too. So I'm excited for it. You know what? It'll probably be good. It'll probably be really good.
I like Cillian Murphy.
I mean, Nolan tends to be better when he's closer to the earth, I would say, when he's not doing something that's like requires
fantasy action,
requires a bunch of world building. Yeah,
abstraction.
Although I've never actually seen Dunkirk, so
Dunkirk, man, miserable.
That's
what I say. It's my hot take.
Well, Ben,
I'm a jerk.
When I say that I don't like things that people like, I'm cute and people love it. But
you are. It's great.
When you say it, everyone's like, that's snob.
That's snob.
That's my belief anyway. All right, folks. Top Gun. It's a thing. Thanks for listening. Until next time. No, go to patreon.com/sanity at the movies. Hey, we're pretty close to something I'm very excited about. I'll tell you what I'm not excited about, which is like our $1,000 Patreon goal, which is to do MCU movies. I think we might even want to change that, because I'm not sure how excited people are about that. If you are excited about it, that's great, and we'll keep it. But if you're not, then maybe we should swap it. You tell us, folks. But I am excited about our most immediate Patreon goal, which is when we get to 250, we will do.
No, I think that it'll be great. I think that we actually go through the MCU by phase as part of commentary on how we got to wherever we will be when we hit 1,000. Still a ways away.
Talk about a dead reckoning. Yeah, you're right. It'll be good content from us, even if the movies will be a bit of a slog. But phase one's just 3 or 4 movies, right? And we'll get to watch a Whedon Avengers, so that's not so bad.
Yeah.
We'll have to sit through Thor 1, which is too bad. We'll have to sit through Edward Norton's The Hulk, maybe. Maybe we can just skip that.
I think we can skip
I've
that
never
one.
seen that.
It's pretty lame.
Justified.
The original Iron Man movie has a little bit more scandal in it than...
Yeah.
Yes.
True.
But that'll be a good scandal to talk about, at least. Okay. Well, all right. So in any case, though, our actual Patreon goal that we're close to right now, we're like $50 away. If somebody just wants to sign up for $50 a month and get us there, it'd be super fun. And I'm really excited about this. And I think you'll be glad you got us there. We're going to talk about the Christopher Reeve Superman duology. We're not going to do the quadrology because we're not that masochistic. But we don't need Richard Pryor doing a computer heist or Superman fighting the sun god. But we will watch part 1 and part 2, the Donner and whoever took it, the Lester. Then we'll watch the Burton Batmans, which will be very fun to talk about, especially since nobody cares about Burton anymore, and he's trying to mount a comeback with this horrible looking Netflix thing.
Yeah, what is that again?
Wednesday.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Really gross.
Super mean-spirited, awful, terrible. It doesn't even look like a well-designed Tim Burton-y thing. But the glory days of Tim Burton were those first 2 Batman movies.
I don't know that he's trying to mount a comeback. I think Netflix was like, here, take some money. We need content.
Yeah, I guess what I meant is Tim Burton's a burnt-out old hack that has nothing left to say and really only had a few movies worth of things to say. And he still wants to make money. And for some reason, people still want to give him money, even though he has not had a hit for a long time and keeps striking out with things like...
people still want to pay for it.
Yeah, but they don't. I mean, nobody saw Dumbo. Nobody was all that interested in Tim Burton's Dumbo somehow. I don't know why.
Dumbo's a dumb property anyway, though.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's right there in the name. And then nobody was interested in Miss Peregrine's Bad Day, whatever it's called.
School for Gifted Youngsters.
Yeah.
AKA X-Men. Burton style.
Slash Hogwarts.
Nobody liked his Dark Shadows. Tim Burton's had a lot of swings and misses. I think
he did a Looking Glass, right?
Yeah, nobody liked those. Although the first one made a lot of money. I don't think he only produced the second one. Tim Burton has not actually had a big success in maybe a decade. So I think the last time he was critically acclaimed was Sweeney Todd, which has its points. But anyway, folks, we're not talking about that. I'm just saying, get us to 250, and we'll do the Burton Batmans, which will be very fun to talk about. So influential to everything. To the last 30 years of cinema. Somewhat influential as a bad road that superhero movies went down for 10, 15 years before everybody figured everything out in the Audis. But man, we grew up with those movies and we have nostalgia for them and we have a lot to say about them. It'd be fun. And Christopher Reeve, of course, Jake's hero, Superman himself, and all that stuff. I haven't seen those movies since I was a little kid, so I'd be excited to talk about those. I want to see Marlon Brando walking fatly around on
Krypton?
A Krypton set. Yeah.
He's pretty great.
I'm sure he is. I don't remember, though, because it's been years and years and years and years. But I remember there's a helicopter that tries to crash, and Superman's like, I'll save you, Lois. And it's great. So sign up, patreon.com/Sign Up Sanity. Until next time.
Oh, man, so many things to choose from. That's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Well, we still have like 10 seconds of music. Oh, no, there it is. Bye.